Hey crafty friends, it's Tina the Scrappin' Rabbit. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. In this video, we're going to be creating a perfume bottle shaped card from the Scrappy Tails Crafts new release. This die is just fabulous. I can't wait to share it with you all. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is the die, and as you can see, there are a lot of pieces, but don't worry, we're going to cut them all out, and I'm going to show you what all of these pieces are for. You even get a couple labels and a bow. It's just so well thought out. I love Sabrina's creations. She really comes up with the greatest ideas. So this die measures about 5 3/8 tall. So it is an A2 size. It will fit on an A2 size card, and it is 3.5 inches wide. So I know that when I like to shop, I like to know exactly what size the dies that I'm purchasing are. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull those out and get my little trimmers and trim all the pieces apart, because you can't have all of those pieces on the inside. So I'm just going to snip those away. And here are all of the die cuts. So you have the main piece right there, and I cut it out of a very light peach cardstock. Out of a rose gold foil, I cut just the top so that I could glue that on there. These are what the two labels look like. I'm not going to use those on my cards today, but I did want to cut them out to show you what you get. So you get an inside piece as well as a frame. And that is going to come in handy, definitely. There's a couple flowers, the bow, the leaves, and this is the cardstock that I used today. It is from Die Cuts with a View, and it's the rose gold pack. It is one of my most favorite. I've been hoarding it for quite some time. So I'm going to use some liquid glue to go ahead and adhere these pieces. This shiny peach cardstock and the glittered rose gold cardstock really just look so amazing together. I'm also using some black sparkly glittered cardstock for the centers of these poppies. And then you get this teeny tiny piece, and so I'm using some shiny black cardstock so that it does contrast against the glittered. It is kind of hard to see. These cards really turned out so much more pretty in person. So again, there is a specific way that you layer these on there, and so you just match up the sides, and then you have the center, and then again that little tiny black dot there that is going to go in the center of the poppy, and it is darker than the other glittered black cardstock. It's really like a dark gray that I'm using. I cut out some glittered green leaves, and that's basically what the flowers are going to look like. Now for the bow, you get that big piece, and what I did was I just trimmed the top off for a second piece. You also get these side cuts, so I used the solid peach cardstock over this holographic peach cardstock. It's so pretty, and that gives you some dimension and some layering. It's really pretty. But I went ahead and cut a second bow out, trimmed it so that I could pop it up on top. And so I'm going to adhere some double-sided adhesive foam tape across the trimmed bow, and then I'm going to layer that on top. It really made a difference in adding dimension. I think that you can use it just as is, but if you wanted a little bit of pop, then that is definitely a way that you can achieve that. So pretty. And that is the bow. You get this little rectangle, a circle, and a heart, and this basically creates a little band for the neck of your perfume bottle. So I used the rose gold glittered cardstock as well as that peachy rose gold shiny cardstock, and then layered them together to create the band. That shiny cardstock, things take a little bit longer to dry on that, so it does slip around. I'm adding the cap of the bottle on there. I love that rose gold foil. And then I'm going to add that little band as well right across the neck of the bottle cap. And basically we have our perfume bottle almost done. So this stamp set is amazing. It's called the Designer Friends Sentiments, and it also comes with a coordinating die set. So I am going to use both of these for my project today. The stamps are so versatile. Now it is not a solid stamp there. You're going to get a frame. You are going to get the sentiments And so you can literally choose which sentiments you want to use with which frame you want to use. I am going to put it together just as Sabrina had designed and get that on my stamp tool there. I'm going to prep my paper with some anti-static powder tool and use some VersaFine black ink. And I'm going to ink that stamp up. With a newer stamp, you do have to stamp it a few times to get a good impression, especially when you have that powder on there, because the powder definitely resists. So it's going to take me like 3 or 4 times of going at this just to get all of the ink on there through the powder that's on there, as well as the brand new stamp. And once I have a nice stamped image, I'm going to grab some clear embossing powder and I'm going to cover that up really well so that I have all of that VersaFine covered in embossing powder. And then I'm going to grab my heat tool, heat it up nice and hot, and then I'm going to melt that powder away, giving that label some really nice dimension, and it looks so, so pretty. I just love that idea. Number one friend. When you look at the coordinating die set, you'll notice that the labels are a solid die, so it's kind of difficult to line it up if you're just going to place it right over your stamped image. So a workaround that I found when you have dies like this is just go ahead and cut it out, and then it makes a window, and then you can line it up exactly over your stamped image. I'm going to grab some washi tape and just tape that down so that it doesn't move around, and then I'm going to place that die right over the top. And then I'll run it through my die cutting machine, and there you have the perfect label. What I did was I did mark top on the die as well as that little square so that I always have it going in the same direction. I went and stamped several, even in some gold embossing powder, and I loved the way that that turned out. So now I have that layer. I just wanted to add a little bit of inking using this saltwater taffy distress oxide ink to give it a little bit of dimension around the edges. So I'm just softly going to blend, just getting it right around the edges of the perfume bottle so that it kind of gives you that a little bit of an outline there. A little depth, a little dimension, and I think that it does add a lot. Something as simple as inking around the edges of your die cuts. I really love this rose gold theme for this perfume bottle. So I went ahead and cut a card base out of the same cardstock, and as you can see, I can place it right on top. It fits perfectly on an A2 sized card, but that gives you a visual of how that will fit on the front of a card base. But I am actually going to make a shaped card, and it's super easy to do. That side folding card, you just line it up with the cut edge, having that cut edge hanging over the end of the card base fold, and then taping it down with some washi tape so that it doesn't move around when you run it through your die cutting machine. This cardstock is from Michaels, so it's their 100-pound, and there you go, it'll stand up just perfectly. I also cut one out with the Nina 110-pound, and it cut just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and layer my decorated perfume bottle, or my inked perfumed bottle I should say, before I decorate it. That way I can smooth it down. There's no embellishments on it at this time, so I could take my bone folder and smooth it out. And I'm just going to go on the back side of that foiled cardstock because I don't want to scratch the foil. So now I'm just trying to figure out where everything is going to go. I did opt for the gold embossed label. I loved the way that that really made it pop. So I'm just trying to figure out where everything is going to go. I cut an extra poppy out, and so the smaller poppies are going to go in the bottom corners, and then I do have that bigger poppy that's going to go in the center. So I'm just tucking in some of the glittered leaves, which I cut several out of. And I don't want anything to hang along the bottom of the card because that is how the card is going to stand up, along the bottom edge. So I decided I was going to pop up that center poppy once I get the leaf placement down. And so I'll glue those down first, and then I will grab some of that double-sided adhesive foam tape and pop my poppy up, my rose gold poppy, getting some nice coverage there. And I'll center that between the two in the bottom corners and add a couple more leaves. I'm trimming the leaves so that they don't stick out as far since I have that foam tape on there. And I think that it just turned out so pretty. I'm going to pop up that label as well. This card is going to have some nice dimension, nothing too crazy. This one will still be able to go through the mail just fine. Once I have my label popped on there, it's really starting to come together. I just love the way that it looks. But I almost forgot the bow, so I have to get that glued on there. And I found that this bow, you can either have it upright, like as in the picture of the actual die, or you can turn it around the opposite way. The last thing I'm going to do is add some sparkly embellishments in these little rose gold gemstones to finish it off. And look at how beautiful that is. I'm really excited to send these cards to some of my friends and family members. I think that they are just going to love them. Now, I did create a second one. This time I wanted to go with the red poppies. I embossed the white layer using a heart embossing folder and then used black as the contrasting color there. And so these are my two cards. I really hope you liked my video today. Again, the products that I used were the Scrappy Tails A2 Perfume Bottle Craft Metal Die. I also used the Designer Friend Sentiments as well as the coordinating die set. I'm going to link all of the supplies that I used in the description box below. I hope you like my cards. I hope you like my video. I hope you'll check out these products in the shop and have a fantastic day. Well, that is all for today. Thanks so much again, and until next time, happy crafting. Bye for now.